platforms, and everybody that is here can see me. So thank you so much for coming here today. Again, I am Marshawn Olanio. And I'm super excited to be here. So if you haven't heard it already, happy new year. Welcome in. Listen, I decided to get back on here. Let's jump back on the horse of getting onto YouTube and getting back onto Brownstone Living and all of the other platforms that I'm streaming from. Thank you so much again for coming in here because, listen, it is a new year. We are now in 2025. Can you believe it? I cannot believe it. And I want to encourage you, especially if you are a Black woman over 40. I want to encourage you that if you are wanting to become a better dater in 2025, this is where you should be for the next 30 days. This is exactly where you should be for the next 30 days, because I know a lot of people think that dating is about the other person. And it is about the other person to a certain extent. However, dating is more about you, especially before you start dating. Many people mess up because they just think that they should jump into dating and what that looks like and what they should be doing and how they should be showing up. And although all that is important, a lot of people forget that piece, that where they really should start. And where you really should start is with the person that you look at in the mirror every single day. Yourself. Yes, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and really prepare yourself before you start dating. Now, I know a lot of us don't do that, which is why we have so many issues, which is why we attract some of the people that we shouldn't be with. Let me say it that way. And so today I wanted to talk to you what it means to have a positive relationship with one's self. So before I jump into that, I want to tell you just a little bit about myself and who I am. So I actually am a shift relationship strategist. As I said before, I specifically help Black women over 40 show up differently in all of their relationships, because it is very important. And I use tailored strategies that specifically is for yourself and everything that you're going through in order to create these thriving relationships. And I know that I'm saying relationships, right? It's not that I'm saying that you're going to have multiple romantic relationships, at least at the same time. What I am talking about is that relationships overall, all the relationships that you have in your life. So the relationship with yourself that I said most people forget about, the relationship with your spouse or partner, if you have one, the relationship with your child or children, the relationship with your parents, the relationship with your siblings, etc., etc. We are always in a relationship. And so I want us to get used to being a part and how you should show up in all of your relationships. So not just in your romantic relationship. So again, I help Black women over 40 in all of their relationships to show up differently. And so this is going to be 30 days of live. This is day number 1 of the first day of me showing up at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And I'm going to come here and we're going to talk about how to become a better dater over the next 30 days. Because again, most people spend so much time focusing on the partner or the other person, and they neglect to spend that time that they need on themselves. So without further ado, I'm going to talk about what that actually means. You're going to see me looking down and off to the side because, again, I'm streaming in 2 platforms, multiple platforms, as well as I have some notes for you as well. So what does it mean to have a positive relationship with oneself? It means to cultivate an unwavering sense of self-worth, honoring personal boundaries, and engaging in daily practices that prioritize your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. This relationship is shaped by your individual experiences, cultural pride, resilience, and the need to counteract societal experiences. Listen, I went through this myself. So when I speak to you, I'm speaking to me because, listen, for the longest time when I was a child, before I moved away at the age of 18, I had a lot of self-esteem issues. And in that, when I decided to leave the nest at the age of 18, when I was the new fish, I didn't realize that this was the thing. But when I was the new fish, I had a lot of men coming to me that just never happened before. And what I realized is that I was attracting men that I shouldn't have been attracting, but it was because I had low self-esteem. I didn't really date when I was a teenager. That was a no-no in my household. And so I had to deal with a lot of things. And so my low self-esteem came from me having dark skin and being teased about it day in and day out. And so me and my parents, we never really talked about dating or relationships, right? Never really talked about it. But when it was brought up, it was very, very shallow. It was no deep conversations about anything. And so I just had to go out into the world like many of you and bump your head. And so what I had to really start doing after a while, and this is many years of being in the dating stage and dates not really going past the first date or past the second date, or we were in situationships and again wasn't just going anywhere. And so I had to one day actually look myself in the mirror and say, Marshawn, you are the only common denominator in all of these relationships. You're the only one who goes into every situationship. You are the only one that's making the decisions to uh, um, not attract, but to actually have conversation, give the time of day to the men that you are speaking to. And a lot of it had to do with me having low self-esteem and just attracting who I felt I needed to speak to, because was anybody else going to come back around? And so I bumped my head a whole lot. I was again in a lot of situationships, didn't understand why I wasn't going to the next level. And because of that, I was married, and now I'm part of the statistic as a divorcee, but that's okay, because guess what? If I didn't bump my head, I would not be now a coach helping other people to not go down the same road that I am. I've actually learned the lessons. I have applied them to my own situations, and I noticed a completely different type of man who has shown up to honor the attention that I'm willing to give to them. So again, I have five key ways to define a positive relationship with yourself, specifically as a Black woman. So the first one is specifically practicing self acceptance and self love. Now, what this really means is that you are embracing every part of yourself, including but not limited to your flaws, which means appreciating one's unique beauty, your talents, your personality, and seeing yourself as enough. Now, how many of us have not seen ourselves as enough? Plenty. Plenty of us have not seen ourselves as enough, which is why we entertain the men that come our way that we should not be entertaining. This is one of the ways to have a positive relationship with yourself, is to actually accept the person that you see in the mirror, flaws and all, in spite of what society, or even, let's be real, some of your friends and family members are saying about you to you. I remember when I was younger, and one of my siblings would actually say stuff about my toes, and I didn't realize that I was internally taking all this stuff in until it was time for me to start dating, and I stayed away from wearing open toe sandals. Now, she didn't realize that she was giving me a complex. I also didn't realize that I was taking what she had to say as gospel. But when I started dating, I started only wearing closed toe shoes because I was ashamed of my feet being shown because of what my sibling had said time and time again. And so I had to, again, reevaluate who I am and how I wanted to show up, and if I felt comfortable enough in open toe sandals to put myself out there and accept the way my feet look. And let's be real, they're actually not horrible. It was just the programming that she was instilling in me that was making me believe that something was wrong with my toes, specifically my toes, not necessarily the entire foot, but specifically my toes. So, what some people see as a flaw in you, you don't have to accept it as a flaw. You really have to accept who you are, again, the person that God actually made you, the person that you look at in the mirror day in and day out. If there is something about you that you do not like that you can help changing, then do that. A lot of people can resonate with weight loss because of their, body issues. If you have body issues, do what you can do to control what you can control, because There may be some health reasons on why you can't lose the weight or keep the weight off or whatever. There may be some underlying issues that you're not aware of that may be holding you back from catapulting yourself to the next level. And that's okay. You can get those things checked out, but control what you can control. You have to be able to accept the person that is in the mirror looking back at you before anybody else will accept you later on. If you don't accept you, who else is going to accept you? I can tell you, nobody. I can tell you, they will play with you. He will play with you, but to fully accept you, he's only going to do that if you fully accept you. So now, the second way to define a positive relationship with yourself, specifically as a Black woman, is to protect your energy and set boundaries. You must recognize when it is time to use your power of your words, N-O, no, as well as create the boundaries which protect your peace. This includes limiting exposure to negativity, to toxic relationships, and any other drain on your mental and emotional health. Listen, whenever I'm working with the client and we're having talks about setting boundaries, it seems like it's so very hard for my clients and just people in general to accept the fact that they have to set boundaries. And not only set the boundary, they also have to enforce the boundary. So I have some clients that say, well, I don't have a hard time setting the boundary. Where they have a hard time is enforcing the boundary. And what they're not understanding is, and what we're working on and working through is, if you set the boundary, you have to be strong enough to enforce said boundary. Whatever it is, whatever line, quote unquote, they crossed. If you're not willing to set said boundary, you will be walked all over. You will be disrespected. And you will not be taken seriously. Think about it. The people in your life, the women that you know that maybe have gotten the ring, that have gotten into a relationship, you may see them as being super nasty, super petty, super like, how in the world did she get a man and I'm still single? You might be saying stuff like that to yourself, but I can guarantee you one of the ways and one of the reasons why she is in a relationship is because she was able to enforce the boundary that she set. Yes, set it, but also to enforce the boundary. If you're not willing to enforce the boundary, then I highly suggest don't even set it up, because again, you're going to be setting yourself up for disrespect, setting yourself up to be literally looked at as a joke, and nothing that you say that you're going to do is going to be believed by your partner and by the people in your life, period. So again, I told you that I'm specifically talking about how to become a better dater for these next 30 days, but a lot of these things can be applied in your personal relationships. With every relationship that you have, something about one of these topics is going to be able to be applied to that relationship. So if you can't woman up and set the boundary and enforce the boundary that you set, you will be seen as a joke and you will be continuously disrespected. And even though your mouth is saying one thing, your partner is like, yeah, I heard that before. Even though he's never going to say that. He's never going to say, I heard that before, right? He's never going to say that. But you will see in his actions, he won't change. He won't change because he is not believing the words that are coming out of your mouth. This is how you become a better dater, by you owning who you are, by you having a positive relationship with the woman in the mirror, yourself. You will not be taken seriously if you don't take yourself seriously. Nobody else will honor your boundaries if you don't honor the boundaries that you have with yourself. It just doesn't work. So the third way to define the relationship with yourself, specifically as a Black woman, is to take responsibility for your actions, your decisions, and even your consequences. Now, this allows you to move forward with clarity and confidence. Clarity and confidence. Taking responsibility for your actions is very crucial for you to do. You know how sometimes you find that you may be in a relationship or have been in a relationship before with someone, and you're like, this joker just won't take responsibility for the things that he said that he's going to do. He just won't do it. Well, think about yourself. In this case, let's go back to the boundaries. Think about yourself. Have you set and enforce the boundary yourself? So how can you, instead of pointing the finger at your partner or spouse or previous relationships, how can you use this information in order to become a better dater yourself? So if you want to hold others accountable, you have to be willing to hold yourself accountable into the fire. What did you say that you were going to do that you didn't do? See, because we have a lot of times that we are pointing the finger at our partner, at the other person, but we very rarely take a hard, truthful look in the mirror at ourselves. We hardly ever have a tough conversation with ourselves because we would rather complain to others. We would rather have everybody look at us and want to be on our side. But how many people in your life, in your circle right now, is actually going to pull you to the side or call you on your BS? If you don't have any of those people in your life, you need to get some, because the only way you are going to become a better dater, a better person, a better woman, is you have to have somebody that's going to hold you accountable, somebody that's going to call you to the fire, somebody that's not going to just let you say and or blame the other person or people in your lives for how your life is turning out. If your life sucks right now, you played a part in your life sucking. That's the reality. You played a part in your life sucking if it's currently sucking. If it's not, you also played a part in it not sucking. You have to be willing to take responsibility and accountability for your actions and decisions. Think about the partner that you chose, the previous relationship that didn't last, that didn't go to the next level. What part did you play in it? Could it be the person that you chose overall? Like, forget all of the drama, but what about the person that you chose? Could that be the lesson that you should learn? Choose better. So the other drama, for the most part, goes away just by making a better choice in the partner. See, I can raise my hand. I made a bad choice in my first spouse. I made it, I'm talking about marriage. I'm not just talking about boyfriend, girlfriend, right? So I made a bad choice. So now, are you willing to look yourself in the mirror or to just have a truthful conversation with yourself and really own that maybe you made a bad choice? So who's holding you accountable for your actions, for your decisions? Who in your circle can call you to the fire? Right? Who in your circle can call you to the fire? Again, if you don't have anyone, you should think about upgrading your circle. Let's be real, because everybody needs one. The fourth key to defining a positive relationship with yourself, specifically as a Black woman, is healing and letting go. Healing and letting go of those past hurts. All of us have been hurt. I've been hurt. You've been hurt. You know, your friend been hurt. Even your partner and spouse been hurt. Your kid or children has been hurt. Everybody has been hurt by somebody. But it's a matter of you womaning up in order to get to the next level, in order to attract better. You have to be willing to heal and let the pain of the past hurts go away. Many Black women have experienced or inherited trauma that impacts their self-worth and even their confidence. So investing in healing practices, whether it's therapy, whether it's coaching, whether it's journaling or community support, right? Remember, I just talked about the circle. This is a powerful way for you to release those pinned up burdens and move forward with compassion. So you're not holding on to resentment. So you're not holding on and saying different things and talking bad about This is how you know when you over somebody. Let's talk about this real quick. Let's talk about X specifically, right? So when your friend or family member comes to you and they ask you, because maybe they haven't seen you in a while, and or they haven't brought up the topic of your partner or ex in a while, how you know that you're over them is the friend family member says, hey, how's Josh? Josh is the ex. How have you heard from Josh? I mean, we haven't talked about it in a while. What's going on, right? This is how you know when you're over it. When you actually can release without any hate, without blaming, shaming, or rolling your eyes or anything like that. When you're able to just release Josh in this case with no animosity, saying something to the effect of, you know what, I haven't heard from Josh, but I totally wish him the best. I really do. And not just saying it, like really meaning it. That's when you know that you're over that ex. You're over blaming him. You're over shaming him. You're over pointing the finger. And now you have realized, you know what? Maybe everything wasn't Josh's fault. That's when your healing is going to begin. That's when it really, that the work, because we talk about the work as coaches, the work is when you are out and about, not with your coach, and the world is bringing you stuff. And now you're able to utilize the tools that you and your coach been working on and through. That's when you realize that I got it. I can see that I am healing by just that one incident. By just that one incident. It doesn't have to be grandiose. It absolutely does not. But if it is, that's great. But it doesn't have to be. Most of the ahas that happen come in those moments where you're like, now I see. This is what Coach Marshawn was talking about. Now I get it. I'm able to release him and not blame, not shame. I'm able to let go and actually forgive him for all the things. And then there's a caveat to that with you forgiving you. Are you able to forgive you? The fifth way to have a positive relationship with yourself is by embodying rest and joy. Embody rest and joy. We have a tendency to just go and go and go and go. And I'm not knocking that sometimes, because there are seasons where we have to get in grind mode and go and go and go. But sometimes we really just need to embody rest and joy as acts of resistance. Rest and joy are essential for thriving, yet Black women often are expected to be strong and self-sacrificing. Embracing rest and joy as intentional choices is both liberating and transformative, allowing you to feel replenished and genuinely at peace. Genuinely at peace by just using your power of no that we talked about earlier. When was the last time you actually got invited somewhere, but you didn't want to go? So you said no. When was the last time? It's probably been a while. Because most of us as Black women, we just go, 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 go. We give, 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 give. We show up for everybody. And so my question to you is, when are you going to show up for you? When are you going to be able to just relax into the skin that you are in? When are you going to stop wearing the mask? When are you literally going to peel it off and allow your circle and or your partner and or anybody else that has not seen the real you, that hasn't experienced the real you in a long time, when are you going to allow others to truly experience you? That's my question. Each of these keys are essential in order to design your life in a more empowered way. Remember, Growth in relationship with yourself and others is achievable. It's not some fairy tale out there where everybody else gets a great relationship but you. There is some work that this involves. You must be willing to show up for yourself. You must be willing to do what you need to do. You must be willing to say no when you really want to rest instead of saying yes and then having a miserable time the entire night or just complaining. That's not what we're doing in 2025. What we're doing in 2025 is understanding that in order to have a better dating relationship, you got to have a better relationship with you. You have to be able to honor yourself before you start dating. Because once you get into a relationship, it's much harder, especially when emotions start getting involved. And let's be real, sex gets involved. All these things gets involved and everything becomes clouded. And then maybe there's a child added or two before you even figured out if you really wanted a life with this person. So we got to stop jumping the gun. We got to stop jumping the gun. We have to put in the work that we have for us, for you. You got to start putting in the work if you haven't. If you've been putting it off, now we're in 2025. What's holding you back? Who's holding you back? So if you're seeking deeper guidance and tailored support, as I mentioned before, I have coaching programs, of course. But if you're looking to work with a coach that is no nonsense, if you're ready, because we just finished 2024. And if you are ready to take it to the next level with yourself before you jump into a relationship, you got to get the relationship with you together before you jump into a relationship with another. If you're already in a relationship, but you know it's a bit rocky, you don't understand what's actually happening. He said one thing, now he's showing something different. Or maybe you thought it was one thing and now you're showing up differently because maybe what you're seeing from him is not what you were thinking. All of that stuff, you don't have to necessarily worry about. This is where I come in to help you to navigate through all of that stuff. But if the relationship with you ain't right, sis, you're setting yourself up for failure. You truly are. Again, I'm Marshawn Olanio. I work with Black women over 40 using tailored strategies in order for them to create thriving relationships. Relationships, including the relationship with yourself. You have to have a thriving relationship with you before you can have a thriving relationship with a significant other. There is just no other way that it's going to happen any other way. It's not going to unfold positively any other way if you don't have a positive relationship with you. You must start with you before you jump in. Again, if you're already in a relationship, we can start unraveling some of that stuff, because the truth of the matter is a lot, I won't say every, but a lot of people that are in relationships and marriages shouldn't even be there. I said it, I'm sticking to my story because I believe it. So here's what I would like for you to do. What I would like for you to do is to reflect on 3 qualities that you value in yourself. What are some of the qualities that you value in yourself? And if you're brave enough, then you can put the qualities down in the comment section so we can see them. Everybody can see them, as well as comment and cheer you on as well. But I thank you so much for being here with me for these 30 minutes. It really does mean the world. Come back, because there is more to talk about on how to become a better dater over these next 30 days. Again, I'm Marshawn Olanio. I'm a shift relationship strategist, and I help Black women over 40 to show up differently in all of their relationship using tailored strategies in order to create thriving relationships. I love you guys, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And I will see you on tomorrow's live. Bye-bye now.